There's a key. A physical key. And that key is the only thing standing between you and the car's full potential. A car you already paid millions of dollars for. You own it. It's in your name. But without that key, Bugatti decides how fast you're allowed to go in your own vehicle. That's not engineering. That's control. And when one guy decided to push back against that control, not out of protest, not to make a point, but just because he bought a broken Bugatti and wanted to fix it, the entire mythology that Bugatti spent decades building started to fall apart. Let's talk about what that key actually does. When you look at the Veyron, there's a separate key, distinct from your ignition key, and it unlocks what Bugatti calls top speed mode. Now, most people assume that key adds power. It sounds like it should. A secret key, an exclusive mode, you'd think it's releasing some hidden 1,000 horsepower reserve, right? It's not. You already have the full 1,000 horsepower without it. What the key actually does is tell the car to keep the rear wing from automatically rising at high speed, allowing you to push past the car's limited top speed and access what it was actually built to do. The hardware is already there. The performance is already there. You just need Bugatti's permission to use it. And Bugatti's permission, apparently, costs somewhere north of $10,000. That's what a replacement speed key reportedly runs. Bugatti won't confirm a price. They won't even engage with the conversation, but the rumors sit well above 10 grand. For a key. For a piece of shaped metal that tells your car to let you drive it properly. Matt Armstrong bought a wrecked Veyron and started rebuilding it on camera. He tackled the suspension, sourced parts that supposedly couldn't be sourced, got the warning lights to go quiet, solved the ignition, figured out the fuel system, and got the car running again. Step by step, problem by problem, the rebuild moved forward. And somewhere along the way, millions of people started watching. Because what Matt was doing wasn't just fixing a car. He was pulling back the curtain on a system that was never meant to be seen by ordinary people. Then he turned his attention to the speed key. That's when Bugatti got nervous. Not when he rebuilt the suspension. Not when he tracked down impossible parts. Not when he got the Veyron running. The moment Matt started asking questions about that key, started exploring whether it could be cloned, whether someone outside the official Bugatti network could fabricate a working one, that's when the friction started. And when locksmith dips from P1 Auto Keys successfully created a cloned speed key that actually worked, you could almost hear the panic on Bugatti's end. Because the moment an independent specialist clones your key for a fraction of the cost, the story changes. If Matt can get into top speed mode without going through Bugatti, then what exactly is the $10,000 key paying for? The engineering? Or the mystique? Here's the thing about luxury brands, and this goes way beyond Bugatti. Their power doesn't come from horsepower. It doesn't come from performance numbers or carbon fiber or hand-stitched interiors. It comes from perception. The perception that only they understand their products. The perception that only they can fix them. The perception that ownership means joining a private world where the manufacturer holds all the cards. Bugatti doesn't just sell you a car. They sell you access to a club, and they very deliberately retain the keys to that club, sometimes literally. What Matt Armstrong did, almost accidentally, was prove that the club doesn't need to work that way. Think about what we actually watched happen across this rebuild. A service that Bugatti quotes at eye-watering prices was completed by independent specialists for a fraction of the cost. Parts that were supposedly unobtainable were found through persistence and contacts. Faults that looked impossible were solved one by one. And a key that was surrounded by myth and exclusivity turned out to be far less complicated than the brand had led people to believe. Every single one of those victories was a crack in the story Bugatti has spent decades telling. And once the cracks appear, they don't close. Because here's the question that starts spreading once people watch enough of this. If Matt can do it, why can't others? That question is genuinely dangerous for Bugatti and for every luxury brand operating on the same model, because it reframes the entire value equation. Bugatti's response to Matt's rebuild wasn't loud or dramatic. It was something quieter and honestly more revealing. The message that kept appearing, not always stated outright but consistently present underneath the surface, was this: this should come back to us. This should be handled through us. This should stay inside our system. And that message is exactly why this story stopped being about one man rebuilding one car. Because the owner of the Veyron didn't lease this car from Bugatti. He didn't subscribe to it. He didn't borrow it. He paid for it. The title changed hands. The vehicle became his property. Yet throughout the entire project, Bugatti's posture has been that of a company that still considers itself the final authority on what happens to that vehicle. You can own it, but can you repair it however you choose? You can drive it, but can you decide who works on it? You can buy it, but does purchasing it actually give you full access to what you paid for? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're the questions that ownership is built on. And increasingly, the answers are making luxury brands look less like sellers and more like landlords. Then came the fuel pump control module failure. And this is where the story took a turn that nobody could have scripted, because it shifted the entire conversation. The Veyron broke down. Not mid-rebuild. Not while things were still in pieces. Not when Matt was still tracking down parts. It happened after months of successful testing. After the dashboard had finally gone quiet. After the car had proven itself back on the road. One electronic module failed without warning, without drama, without any real signs that trouble was coming. And the car stopped. Here's why that matters so much. If this had happened during the rebuild, during the messy middle of the project, Bugatti's side of the argument would have looked vindicated. See, independent work isn't reliable. So you need us. But that's not what happened. The car failed after the rebuild was complete. After everything was done correctly. Which means the failure didn't prove Matt's approach was wrong. It proved something far more uncomfortable. Even when you do everything right, owning a Bugatti can still become a nightmare. And consider Matt's position when this happened. He's not a regular owner sitting alone with a broken hypercar and no idea where to turn. He has specialists. He has industry contacts. He has millions of viewers actively watching and trying to help. He has companies willing to get involved, experts reaching out, resources that most people could only dream of having. Even with all of that, a single module brought the whole project to a halt. Now imagine being a regular Veyron owner. No platform, no network, no camera following your story. You get that fault code. You try to find the part. You're told the car needs to be transported to an authorized facility. You're handed a diagnosis fee before anyone's even looked at it. And you quietly wonder whether ownership was ever really the right word for what you have. That's the shift that's happened here. Matt started this as a rebuild story. A guy buying a broken car and fixing it. Genuinely compelling, genuinely impressive, but ultimately just one project. What it became is something much bigger. He's not just exposing the costs of rebuilding a Bugatti anymore. He's exposing what ownership of a Bugatti actually looks like when things go wrong. He's showing the gap between the story these brands tell when they sell you the car and the reality they hand you once the money's changed hands. Bugatti has survived and thrived for decades by keeping this gap invisible. By making sure ordinary people never got close enough to see the machinery behind the curtain. By maintaining the kind of mystery that makes a $10,000 key feel reasonable. Matt Armstrong bought a wrecked Veyron. He just wanted to fix it. And in doing so, he did something Bugatti couldn't prevent, couldn't control, and couldn't undo. He let millions of people ask the questions that the brand had spent years making sure they'd never think to ask. And now those questions aren't going away.